Welcome to Authentic, where real stories meet real hearts. This is your sanctuary, a space for truth, transformation, and tender conversations. Here, we unmask the pressure to perform and lean into who we really are. Whether you're searching, healing, or rising, we see you. You are allowed to look good, feel good, and leave this space feeling bold. So, take a breath, be still, and come home to you. This is Authentic. Dear self, what burdens have you been dragging that were not yours to hold? Release them. Ask yourself, if I set this weight down today, who would I become tomorrow? In our daily lives, we often carry invisible burdens, emotional weights that shape our thoughts, actions, and our interactions. These unforeseen changes can also stem from past experiences, societal pressures, or internal struggles. Today on Authentic, we dive deep into the topic with Telecia Lindo-Johnson, a transformational leadership coach and advocate for emotional intelligence. With her background in psychology, Telecia helps impact driven leadership achieve sustainable success by achieving self awareness and foster people centered leadership. In this episode, we explore the significance of acknowledging and addressing the invisible weights we carry. Telecia shares insight on how to understand these burdens and how we can help lead personal growth, healing, and empowerment. Join us to uncover the layers of the hidden challenges and discuss strategies of releasing them by embracing authenticity and living a life of purpose. This is The Weight We Carry with Telecia Johnson. Welcome to Authentic. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Authentic. I'm your host, Rayon, and I want to say thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the show. And thank you so much for following up. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel and follow the podcast. Also, I want to give a big shout out to CMR TV for giving us the opportunity to have our show online. And I want to shout out to all the other content creators that are on the platform doing their thing. On this episode of Authentic, we are diving into the topic of the weight we carry. And I know that this is a very interesting and insightful topic, and we all go through, challenges in our life, and life is a complex event, and sometimes we don't really have the necessary resources to in order to go through or understand some of the things that we're dealing with. So, as I said before in our initial episode, Authentic is here to help you, to offer insights that could help us to find our authentic selves. And in today's show, we have our special guest who will be joining us today, helping us with some insightful information and helping us to understand the weight we carry and also share her own story and her own journey, because as we said before, it is about living vicariously through to each other. And in Jamaica, we would say each one teach one, and we're following the same dynamic. Just as a reminder, in case nobody told you today, you are special, maybe a little bit broken, but you're still perfect. So without any further ado, we're gonna get into our video. Today, we have our lovely guest joining us all the way from Jamaica. Any further ado, you want to give a round of applause to Telecia. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome.
Wow, Ryan, thank you so much for having me all the way from Jamaica, right? Not so far. Actually, we're kind of closest.
Welcome, welcome,
But
welcome.
yeah, it's really
Yes,
a
we
joy
are.
to be here, and I absolutely love the name of your podcast, Authentic. It is my number one chosen value. And listen, this did not happen all my life. It just happened a few years ago where I decided that authenticity was going to be my number one value. So it really is a joy to be here. I'm happy to share my story.
Thank you so much for joining us. And initially, because the way we actually connected, and let's just do a little bit of
Yeah.
really how this actually came about. It was actually my dearest friend that actually connected us. And even the way when she shared the story how you guys connected, it was, one of those things where it's almost like the universe just brings people together.
Listen.
Right time, right moment, right person. And
Hmm.
I'm so grateful and I'm really appreciative for you to really take out the opportunity to be a part of this. And
Yeah.
I just want to say a big thank you for joining us on Authentic.
It is really a joy. So I really hope my time here will be meaningful to your audience. And yeah, our stories were not meant for us. So I welcome the opportunity to share. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are going to definitely go straight into the episode, and we're gonna
Yeah.
go on to the section where I get to ask you a few questions so we could definitely be able to help a lot of our viewers in terms of to understand the weight we carry and also to learn how to honor our journey and honor our story, because I feel like once we're able to fully accept ourselves is the easier we're able to navigate the complexities of life. And I mean, they always say if you can't love yourself, how are you going to love anybody else? So it's really embracing the true power of acceptance. Okay, perfect. So we're
Let's
going to start
go.
off this session with some of our foundational questions. So the first question I have for you, Talisa, is um, can you take us back to the beginning where your journey started, both personally and professionally?
How much time do we have? I know, right? 2043 this
Yeah.
year, it feels like a whole journey back, but let's just kind of keep it concise, right? So I'm a kid from rural Jamaica. I grew up in St. Mary in this little pocket of St. Mary, right? Richard Spence is
Hmm.
the name of the community, very small community, kind of there in the map. And as a kid in rural Jamaica, a lot of things happen. A lot of things are part of my original story. And I recognize it's not even just being Jamaican, it's being Caribbean, really, because a lot of us Caribbean
Hmm.
folks are products of or experience migration at some point, or parents leave, or one
That is
parent
correct.
leaves behind. So as a very young kid, I remember knowing that my father migrated pretty early. So the story is that when I was 6 months, of course, I'd be clueless to that. So not having a father present in my life from a very early
Hmm.
stage, um, that did not stop me. I felt like there was a stage in my life that I saw myself being like this bold person. I remember having this picture where I was doing a pageant, and this was like me knowing my light. I was like fearless as a kid. I see that
Yes.
picture and I sense my energy of fearlessness when I look back at that picture. I was probably 4 or 5. And that fearlessness did not last. Because me too, I
Mm.
experienced sexual trauma at a very young age. I was sexually abused, and it was over it span over a very almost a decade. And so when I remember being even a teenager and looking at that picture, I'm like, where is that girl? Because I felt like I'd
Mm.
lost her.
The
And at a young
innocence.
age, I knew that I was not that fearless person anymore, or I hid her for some reason. And so, yes, I'm a kid from rural Jamaica. I never felt like I lacked physical things. I didn't feel poor growing up. I didn't probably notice how poor I was until I probably started high school, right? In terms of recognizing the things I didn't have or couldn't get and all of that, just because in my mind I had abundance, right? We could live off the land. We had all the coconut trees,
Correct.
all fruit trees,
Yes.
red pepper, and things that grew. And, I felt like I was never hungry. And thank God for my mom. My grandma was really very hardworking, and my grandfather as well, which was my grandmother's husband, but not my paternal or maternal grandfather, but he definitely played a strong
Hmm.
role there. So that's a bit of my story. I lived through that abuse, and I know it covered the boldness and the fearlessness that I had as a child growing up, but I still pushed through. I still believe in working hard. These are virtues passed on from my grandmother, especially, who would pass on some of these things about if you want good, you knows how to run. Truth is, it helped me as a child
Yes.
to navigate what I thought was a sense of, powerlessness. I did not have a lot of things, and therefore, if I wanted better, I really had to work hard for it. And it helped me to really give focus to the things I needed to give focus to as a child, and working hard and really being diligent about getting a good education, right? And now, as a 40-year-old, I'm undoing that limiting belief around how hard we have to work to get things, and trusting that there's enough of everything in the universe for all of us. But nonetheless, I see the value in some of those to help me have survive what was a difficult childhood, in a lot of the senses. And now I can say all of that is a part of my story. One, not having my father present in my life, I can see how it impacted me in relationships. My ability to trust and even just rely on certain connection, and even knowing how to nurture myself emotionally. Um, but it's a part of my story, and I've done a lot of work to navigate through that. I don't know how much farther you want me to go, but that's me growing up. You said from the beginning, right? That's really a critical part of
From the
my beginning.
beginning.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. But just follow up after just listening to that. And
Hmm.
I honestly, a lot of us growing up in the Caribbean have similar stories, and we share the same
Yes.
similar sentiment.
Yeah.
But would you say you turn your pain into passion? And would you say that caused you to go down the road of becoming a coach or psychologist and helping others who might be struggling, or being able to empathize, because you know that there are consciously other people out there who've been through the same thing, and why not help each
Yeah.
other?
Yeah, 100%. I believe because, the thing, I never spoke about my child abuse or my sexual abuse past until I was 30. Right? This was when I was doing my master's in psychology, and I had to do therapy before I could offer therapy to others. And so even before I got to that point of doing or pursuing this career, which is really a second career for me, um, already I was that person to listen. I was the confidant in the group. I was the one that people would find to share their stories with. And so a part of my woundedness or my pain, as I was navigating that and living through it, also attracted people who were experiencing pain in different ways, but they felt safe with me, felt safe enough to confide in me
Mhm.
with their stories, and to just have me express some amount of empathy for what they were going through. And yes, 100% I believe that by the time I realized, oh, psychology is what you were meant to do. I was already doing business in high school, like, right?
Mhm.
Who we had no career advisors back then. You're like, okay, what do I do? Kind of thing. Oh, I don't like this, I don't like this, but okay, let's figure it out. But I think it was naturally cultivated in terms of being that person who was able to offer compassion to other people, give a listening ear. And so, yes, absolutely. I think it requires people who are experiencing different pain to have that ability to be compassionate, to other people. Yeah.
um, your story
Hmm.
definitely helped you to honor other people's story, because obviously you're able to put yourself in their shoes and be able to relate to them. And I think
100%.
for me, I think one thing I've learned is that a lot of people shut down. And one of the main things why people shut down and isolate themselves is because they're trying to avoid shame. And we live in a
Hmm.
very shame based and judgmental society. And especially with social media and everything going on, it's
Yeah.
just not easy for people to open up. So when we do have those empathetic and compassionate people, I think that's something that needs to be cherished.
100%. Yeah. Before even social media, our culture in the Caribbean is to hide
Oh yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Yeah, we're so
yeah,
afraid of
yeah,
people finding out. So we do have a culture of sweeping things under the rug. Don't let nobody know your business, right? Hush, hush. And that just perpetuated a culture of a lot of people suffering in silence because
yeah.
nobody can
Which is
know.
exactly, and I mean that's not cool because I think the long term damage and effect that that has, it's so detrimental and sometimes it's irreversible. So
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people where it's just like you just fall in that rabbit
Suffering.
hole. They're suffering. They're
Yeah.
suffering.
Yeah, it took
And
me 38 years to break up with shame, right? At the age of 30, I'm like, I am done with you, shame, right? Once you realize where shame comes from, you have to judge
Mhm,
yourself. It's heavy self-judgment that causes us to experience that emotion called
mhm,
shame. And when you choose to not judge yourself anymore, which can be really hard for a lot of people because it's easy and it's programmed and society taught you that way because if you judge
mhm.
yourself first then in a sense it feels
Nobody
like you're
else. Yeah.
protecting yourself from other people judging you, but it doesn't, it actually wears you out and it
It
causes you to hide.
that is so
Yeah.
that is so true, and I'm so glad you strike on that point of about, as you say, breaking up with shame.
Yeah.
Um, we need to make that a thing.
Yes, break up with shame, like
We need
be
to
done
make
with
that
it.
a like. And the funny thing, and I'm just relating to what you said. In my previous episode, the introductionary episode, I was speaking about with what the idea and the concept of the show is. It's really honoring yourself, the pluses,
Mhm.
the minuses, the good, the bad. It's just knowing this is who I am. This is
Yes,
where I am. And if I have to do the work, then I'll go ahead and get the things done that I need to do. But I'm honoring myself because every incremental step and experience that you've experienced along your journey, it's still a part of who you are. And I think the easier and the sooner you're able to accept it, is the sooner you're able to move on and bring it with you because you want to like
that's right.
unload the baggage and break up with shame.
Break up with shame. Break up with
break,
shame
break
because it's
up with
self-inflicted,
shame.
right? It is definitely self-inflicted, and we can do that.
It is.
And a part of it is that, I always teach even my clients the triple A method, when they want to
Mhm.
shift, because the who you choose to be, it's always in your power. And a lot of people think that the who I am is prescribed. It's already written in stone. It's not,
A,
right?
writ-
That's a
a
gift.
written role.
God
Mm.
gave us the power to choose. We have the brush. We are the ones who put every ink on that canvas. And a lot of people don't realize that. But it requires for you to accept who you are. You have to know. So the triple A is awareness, acceptance, and then action. And maybe we'll touch on that a little bit more later down, depending on the question, because that's already teaching strategy. But it really requires you to accept when you become aware of who you are, show who you are being, and that's going to be only in community. People will have to give you feedback. And when people give you feedback, and even though it might hurt your feelings, this is like you come into a space of learning how you are impacting your world. We are no one out of community. Our identity is wrapped in relationship with other people. Other people mirror who we are because you have an idea of who you are, right? How do you know? That's how you're showing up. People have to tell you because you will have the
I have to
idea
tell you.
and the impact you're having is completely different. Unless people give you that feedback, you can't align your intention with how you want to show up to the impact
Yes.
you're having. And we own that. We own our intention and we own our impact. So when you have that aligned and you're like, this is who I want to be, this is who I am, and you claim that,
Mm-hmm.
then you show up being
You're
that.
un- then you're unstoppable. So
Yeah.
you break up with shame, you get your triple A's, and you're set. You're on your journey.
You're on your journey. Yes, yes, yes.
You're on your journey to go. So
Yeah.
my next follow-up question is, in your opinion, what are some of the common invisible weight people carry both emotionally and mentally?
I love that question. I love the word invisible in that question. I love invisible because I usually use this analogy with my clients, right? I'm like, listen, we all have this invisible bag filled with invisible stones, and we've been collecting these
Mm-hmm.
things, right? Oh my God, I don't think they love me. Oh my God, I always have to work for this to get seen or noticed. Oh, I think they prefer my sibling more than they prefer me. Oh my gosh, I'm not good at
Mm-hmm.
this thing, right? I'm so bad at writing. I'm so bad at math. And we start packing these things that are impacting our identity and are weighing us down, and we feel so heavy, right? And remember, listen, you look out. I mean, I know you may have audience that expand beyond the Caribbean, so they don't all get to see the turquoise blue ocean all the time, but
Correct.
they're seeing another wonder. Even if you're looking at snow-covered mountains, that's amazing too. Like God is so creative. This y- that we get to
Yes.
experience is so amazing. And when we start packing these invisible things, we get so caught up with the weight that we're carrying that we don't get to look up and notice. And so some of the invisible mental weight that we carry are the stories that we tell ourselves about who we are, the limiting beliefs that
Mm-hmm.
were sometimes passed down to us by our parents or grandparents. And sometimes we don't even understand. I was in a dialogue with a group of women very recently, and it came about, we spoke about how men, we talk about women talking about men, of course, we can't not talk about men, but we spoke about
Absolutely.
how society has taught our young men not to show emotions. All right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a common thing. You can't cry, you can't express pain, you can't. But sometimes we judge that and we feel angry about it, or we have feelings about it, and we're like, how could they have done this to us? Why don't we teach our young men to express their emotions and not bottle things up? And so anger becomes the dominant thing when under the anger we have several other emotions being masked. But I offered them to say, listen, where is it coming from? Where is this coming from? And as Caribbean people, we have to recognize that our realities will be different, right? I was in a group with a group of psychologists, and we're all kind of saying we have to decolonize psychology because not every
Mm-hmm.
psychological theory will stand footing solely without the acknowledgement of what being a Caribbean national means.
First,
We
yes.
are, our ancestors were slaves. For
Yeah.
the majority of us were slaves, indentured workers, and for a very small portion, possibly slave owners, right? Because of the dynamic nature and the mix in the Caribbean. And we don't realize that when a slave man on the plantation
Mm-hmm.
cried, they were
Mm.
separated from their expressed emotions, show that
Seen as weak.
they love their child or their woman. When they were bonding with a family,
Mm-hmm.
it was ripped apart because they recognized the connection to family was their strength, and they will fight for that, and they can't stop them when they show up
Yeah.
bonding and caring for their family. So then, back then, the rule was do not show your emotions because your emotions will
Mm.
be used against you to have you lose what matters to you most, which is your family.
Which is your family.
And so that was real for them, and that's not real for us. But all we took was to not show you. Men, don't show you. Don't cry. What? Shut up, man, you girl. Right? Because the slave owners didn't care if women were crying. Their emotional did not. But when the
A
men
woman. I
became
mean, yeah.
emotional, they knew their control was at risk. Because that's when people would rebel. All the ones who ran to the mountains and became, The freedom
Yeah, the
fighters,
Maroons.
yeah, they did it for their
Mm-hmm.
families. And so that thing that we pass on without understanding it is just a product of slavery. And we need to shelve that because that is no longer our reality. They fought so we could have family. They fought so that we wouldn't be ripped away from family. They fought so we can show emotions towards our families and people. And so we don't need to block that anymore, right? So when we talk about just understanding our heritage, sometimes we have to throw out some of those old things that are no longer serving us and recognize
Mm-hmm.
that we get to choose. We choose. Yeah.
That is so true. And I mean, our ancestors had fought very hard and came a long way and bared the
Yes.
burden so that we
Yes.
could be free people these days. But I really
Yeah.
want to touch a little bit on that based on my personal experience. And I mean, I'm Jamaican too. I was growing in Jamaica, so I know
Yes.
all the stereotypical and man don't talk and go, but so you know what I mean. And I know all of
Children
that,
must be seen and
and
not heard.
not
Yes.
heard. And that's one of the craziest things that, growing up and becoming an adult and gaining that level of consciousness, it's almost like, what were these people saying to you? Like, what do you think the outcome was going to be? Because we're going to live in a society where it's just a lot of suppression, and a lot of people, tying to what you said, are hostage to their emotions because they really don't know how to express themselves. So it's a lot of suppression. But in my personal experience, I've heard all those things, and I've been through all those things. But one of the things why I'm like so grateful, and I want to tie it to the name of the show, which is called Authentic. Authentic for me is coming really from a place of triumphant, a place of saying, okay, y'all try to tell me this and that and what to do and what not to do. But in some ways, it's like an emancipation of who I became and the journey it took, because people don't understand how hard it is to get up every day. And I say it all the time, to choose to be kind, to choose to be empathetic, irregardless of what else is happening. Because it's very easy to fall to the popular beliefs and everything else that's going on, but to stand firm and maintain those boundaries and be like, hey, I'm going to show emotion, I'm going to be vulnerable, I'm going to say what I want to say. I don't care if people think you're a little bit sassy. I have an opinion and I'm going to share it. And I deserve to be treated with love and respect, and feel valued just like a valued member of society. Because I feel like once you're contributing to the collective, you should be entitled to those things.
Yeah, I mean, it's our birthright. It is
It,
our birthright. We are here. Listen, we didn't have to be here, and we're here. Right? We are here. We're gifted with this opportunity to experience the wonders of God's creation, every aspect of it. And it is a gift. And sometimes we focus on the burden and the things that are not going right. And oh my gosh, how does that drain your energy? You don't get to choose kindness because you know what? It's very easy to stay in a state of misery and
mm,
frustration. Those energies are addictive and they spread. They're contagious because like energy attracts like energy. That's just the rule of it.
but they say misery likes company, so I think that's where that came from.
Misery likes company. Absolutely. Right? Because if
uh,
you show up miserable to people, you
yeah.
attract who you are.
mm,
You attract who you are.
I
So
100%.
sometimes when you find yourself looping in certain relationships and situations, it's only an opportunity for you to confront
Mhm.
what about you is attracting this, to face it, awareness, accept it, acceptance, and then choose differently. Action. Yeah. So let's not judge our circumstances, but really try to learn from it. And that's if it's not serving you, evolve out of it. You know what I mean?
You heard it here first. Taking responsibility for your healing from our lovely guest, Miss Telecia. Telecia, I also want to bring it back to you in terms of if someone wants to reach out and be a part of your coaching sessions, be a part of your practice. How can people reach you? How would some of my listeners be able to connect with you?
Okay. Well, you can follow me online on Instagram, LinkedIn, Telecia Lindo-Johnson. You can email me at Telecia at coachingthecore.com. That's TELECIA at coachingthecore.com. Or you can call at 876-577-9078. I look forward to hearing from you, either seeing you online or interacting with you at some point in time.
Um, So we have come to an end of our show. We had a very insightful discussion. I want to say, in case nobody told you today, you are special, you're beautiful, you are perfect, you're one of one, you're number one, you're the only one. Until next time, thank you so much for joining Authentic, and stay true, stay authentic. Until next time, goodbye. This episode of Authentic is proudly sponsored by T Signature Beauty and Barber Studio, where self-care meets purpose. We are excited to share their Gracefully Groomed program, offering free grooming and beauty services to two special groups, kids and teens ages 3 to 14 and our cherished elders. It's all about restoring confidence, dignity, with a touch of magic. One cut, one curl, one smile at a time. To learn more, follow T Signature Beauty on Facebook or reach out to them directly or contact me on Instagram. Thank you, T Signature Beauty, for giving back and for supporting Authentic. Remember, confidence begins with care, and kindness just makes it shine.